When we first got the raised beds delivered, I hated them. So the raised beds have been a drama. Of course. I mean, I don't know why I expected this to be so easy when it's your own project, but anyways, I just got the call. I just got the text. Our raised beds are being delivered tomorrow. I'm like, I'm so excited. But are we prepared for them? Like, do we have irrigation trenches dug and irrigation laid in and final grading and everything done? Do we have that ready? No. I did not ask for pictures of what our style would look like in redwood as opposed to cedar. And I originally had a very specific size I wanted for each raised bed in the garden, placed very specifically. And the first contractor we were working with was like, no, make them all the same size. You can fit 14 in your yard. And I was like, okay, that's great. Like, that was one of my goals, maximize how much we can grow. Yeah, but that suffocates the space because you need walkways and you want it to feel airy and open. You don't want to just like, you know, fall into this garden area and you're just bumping into boxes everywhere and nothing can breathe. It just doesn't feel aesthetically and like scale-wise appropriate. I knew that off the bat. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, maybe if we take, you know, this bed and this bed off, we'll do 12. So I ordered 12. 12 raised beds came, and guess what? 12 was too many. 10 looks just right, which was my original instinct. However, the beds still felt and still kind of feel a little bit big. But I know once they're filled with plants, I will be so grateful because even just shaving off, you know, 4 square feet here and there is taking out a lot of growth capacity. So we'll bump the beds up against here and then put like a big shrub here so that the rest of this, which will be redone, feels like it flows. And then we'll add plants all around these edges. But we'll have 3 beds here, 3 there, 2 there, and then let's see, 6, and then 4 there. I'm behind them. Okay, the guys are here for the beds. Obviously, I have to pick up my children's toys from the giant dirt playpen. They're assembling some of the beds on site, and then some of them are already built. And then we have the magical surprise garden bed that has a fairy door in it. And we have the tapered beds that go around the fountain. So there is some specificity, but we're gonna have to move everything off to get the trenches built, but we do kind of wanna lay it out to make sure we like how it looks. So there will be some heavy lifting involved in this phase. I'm just geeking out like, hey guys, like, thanks for being here. I'm like super excited. And they're like, cool. To be honest, I almost completely just lost it because these beds are big and they look big in the space and they need to be very perfectly aligned to not be overwhelming. And there's a part of me that's worried we might have 2 that don't fit. My whole plan was like a lot of custom sized beds, 10 of them. And then I worked with our contractor and he convinced me that we just needed all one size, 12 of them would fit. And I like got that pit in my stomach where I was like, I should have just listened to my instincts and what I designed. But I really need some extra muscle out here to help me really move things around there the way they're supposed to be before I start to panic. So it's fine, it's gonna be great. I just want my borders. I don't think anybody understands the importance of the borders for me around the garden, and that's my fault for not making that better known, but we're not in the clear yet. I'm like sweating, nervous, feeling like, okay, hopefully it's gonna be fine. It's taking me a long time to get used to the size of them in the space, knowing that we really had to get strategic about the placement of things for there to be this flow and this natural feeling. Any new space, any new project, there's always like nerves and feelings, and it takes some getting used to. So, yeah, but this is the biggest, most important part of the project for me, because once you have the beds in, it's like, I mean, we're gonna trench and irrigation so that it can be timed, but, you know, worst case scenario, if everything went to heck, I could just fill up these beds and start planting tomorrow, you know? That's not what we're gonna do, but I am very excited.
Okay. A lot of wood here. I mean, where do you walk? Does it say hey? Aloha. Or something like that. Does it say aloha in there?
It's just like a little trinket. No, it says hello.
Oh, it says aloha.
There's there's treats already in there.
Oh, nice.
So I loved the raised beds now. I love them now. And as they age, I'm gonna love the color. I think sort of the stripiness look of the redwood with the vertical boards, I just didn't think it through. And while I love to be unique, there are some elements of a traditional look that I really love and appreciate. So the full download, we had them custom built. They're all 4 feet by 8 feet. It's untreated redwood. And they have a cap on the top that makes it easy to sit on, which I love. And they have like a really cool little built-in base, which I also love. So those elements are fantastic. It's gonna look great when it's all filled in, but I was absolutely just panicking because they just feel big in the space, and having 2 extras is really frustrating, but I sold those on Facebook Marketplace and we good now. So anyways, that's the raised bed saga. So happy that they're in. I cannot wait to get my soil and the rest of the finishes done.
Yeah, you want to get this dialed in though, and have a laser down the middle, like, not messing around.
Well,
What's going on inside?
I know, but once I build it out, there'll be like at least a foot, and it'll be like shrubs and flowers, like you know, coming in.
You're gonna have to wall this off.
What do you?
And you actually can come if he walls this thing off there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you could come. You know, I still think he butts up against it. You have a step go down, it will look, and a step over there, it'll look great.
I agree, but we have to keep in mind, I don't want everything to shift too much because I want there to be like the entry point somewhere.
Well, it's gonna be right there.
So we got the configuration right, and we have 2 extra beds, which I anticipated. I should have spoken up about it, but it's okay. See it? In case you're wondering, my messy bun has a name, and it's Sheila. So my girlfriend Leanne named her. She big, she bold. They're just out here staring at the beds, like basking in it, because I'm happy and excited and content now. Hey girl. And I totally forgot the fairy door. So one of my favorite elements of our raised beds, and one of the reasons I had them custom built, is so that I could have a fairy door installed. This is such like an inner child dream coming to life, but I used to love going to this little store in my hometown, near my hometown, called Occidental, California. I don't think the store's there anymore, but it was like this little attic store with all these little like fairy sculptures and crystals and little things, like the flower fairy books. I mean, I don't know, this is getting so incredibly niche, but I loved that. And so I'd seen fairy doors like on trees before, but I'd never seen anything like this done in a garden. And I love adding like surprise and delight and whimsy into our lives and everything we do. You can hear my dog. So I decided to find an operational fairy door on Etsy. I'll add some links into the notes here, and have it installed with a box so that I could hide treasures in there for my kids, and they could find it and leave treasures for the fairy and just create a fun little whimsical exchange. So I actually got footage of the kids discovering the fairy door, which I didn't even realize was gonna happen before like the garden was built, because the beds are there, you know? And so far it's been incredible. They love checking the fairy door. They love finding their treats and surprises. They're coming up with ideas for the fairy. It is like adding such a fun, magical element to our lives and to the garden. And I just can't wait for other kids to come and discover it. And even adults, it's just a fun thing to uncover. So highly recommend the next time you design your garden, you add some sort of surprise feature that is, you can engage with, you know? Okay, so we've installed the raised beds, and my absolute favorite feature, the customization that I've been dreaming up, I've never seen it done anywhere else, is a working fairy door. So I bought the door off of Etsy. It's fully functional, but I had a box built into the bed. We covered it with plastic so it won't get ruined or rotted out by water, but we can keep, I can put little treasures in here for my kids, and they can in return leave little treasures for the fairies. It's just a little bit of magic and whimsy that I am so excited about.